Hey yo, what's going on YouTube? Have you ever wanted to make clean, nicely edited vertical style videos for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or Instagram Reels, but you don't have the money to spend on the top tier products like Adobe Premiere Pro or other of the industry best? Well, today's video is going to be going over how you can make high quality videos with a free software called Vsdc Free Video Editor Online, to which we'll be leaving a link in that description below for that editor. The video is kind of long because it was a seminar I did in my Discord, and I just kind of recorded it. We do this kind of thing all the time where I help the homies out with content and stream stuff. So if you want to come by and hang out and have any questions, that Discord link also will be in the description, as well as my Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, etc. You guys can stay connected and ask me anything if you have any questions about the video or anything else regarding content or streaming. If this video is useful, like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below if I missed anything and you have any questions, okay? Thank you guys and enjoy the video. All right, so the first thing I recommend for doing VSDC video editing is you'll notice that my icon has like a little shield over it. The reason it has that is you can go into like properties and go into compatibility and run this program as administrator. Have that checked because every time that you video edit, you're gonna want to have this as administrator, because what running something as administrator means is that it prioritizes the application for your resources, right? Your CPU, your GPU, and all that stuff. When you're rendering videos, the more resources you have available, the higher the render quality will be, which we're gonna go back to probably later on when we get to the rendering, because you're not gonna want to have OBS, you're not gonna want to have really anything open, so much because you want those resources available for rendering. And graphic designers who render artwork and 3D animations, they have separate PCs just for rendering. So that's how important your computer's resources are. So go ahead and have this clicked, compatibility, run as an admin. And once you do that, you should have this nifty little shield icon. And you're going to want to do this too. Side note for OBS. If you ever go live, you always want to have this as administrator. Always. Okay. For Streamlabs, OBS, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and open up. Okay. Just close out. If you ever see a box like this, just exit out of it. Yep. I haven't updated because I just don't need to, I guess. So we're going to go to new project. You're going to name this whatever you want. We'll call this test project. And our width is going to be 1080 and our height is going to be 1920. That is the size of a phone screen. So generally it's 1920 by 1080. This is 1080 by 1920. Okay. If this should be pre-selected as to what you stream at. I stream at 30 frames. You can always go up to 60. You can actually increase your resolution, which I do in post. So I just keep it at 30 for here for now. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to finish. That's going to give you this little phone icon, like little phone size black screen. Everything inside of this black screen is what's going to be shown. But you're going to be able to have stuff that goes past the black screen, which we're gonna get to here in a little bit. As you can see, just like as soon as you open up, that this is not a very user-friendly editor. It doesn't have floating bubbly text telling you what everything does. It almost looks like it's from like Microsoft 2000 series or something. It's just, they slapped it together. They did not add anything extra, and that's how it's available to be free and still render high quality images. Because of this kind of formatting and its limitations is why most people use DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere Pro. But this is probably, I would say, the best free version of those softwares that doesn't make you have a watermark on your shit, because there are some really good softwares that you can render at very high quality that's more user friendly, but it gives you a watermark. I don't like that.
Yeah,
okay.
No, I agree.
All right. So first let's look at some buttons before we go any further. The most important three are these three icons right here. This play button is your videos, which will prompt you to upload any kind of like Twitch clips or whatever. This obviously is music, so you can download music onto your PC and add it as a layer. And then this is an image. So say you want a meme, a GIF, whatever, which is very common in video editing, you would pull it from here. So these 3 buttons are definitely the most important. Let's take a look and see if there's really anything else. You can add text with these icons up here. I seldom do because most of the applications that I upload to TikTok, Instagram, they offer text functions that have more versatility. Now, that's not to say that you can't do it here and that it might be better. That's just the route that I've taken. So that's something that if you would like to kind of get into, you can. Let's continue to just look around and just so that this is less confusing. Up at the top, it offers you projects, so you can, like, starting from left to right, you can create a new project, and just like a paint, you know, it'll ask you like, hey, you didn't save this shit, are you sure? Open old projects. So this is what I do. I open an old project, and I just, because it has my settings already configured, I open it up and I start from there, which we'll be doing here in a minute. I think you can do templates. I haven't messed with them. And then obviously save your project as, and export, which we'll be doing at the end.
Okay.
Scenes I don't use. Edit, I think, you know, you could use this, but I don't really use it because I do everything in the layering, which I'll show you. Views, I don't really use. Editor, again, all of this can be done. All of these tabs can be done by right-clicking the layer, which it's just easier in my opinion. Export is when you're done, and then that's actually all of these. So really, you don't really need to worry too much about these up top. And really you don't need to worry about any of these right here. I don't use them. I'm able to upload at a high quality and do a lot of editing, and I never use any of these, and I really don't use any of these tabs beyond saving, exporting, and opening up an old project.
Yep, I got you.
Okay. Let's go to the right here. First, I never do anything with this. This is fancy as shit. You can change your contrast, hue, and all of that stuff. I mean, maybe you want to get into it. It's just not for me. I think that overproduction is not necessary, especially in today's market of video editing, TikTok and stuff. If it's overproduced, that turns people off. They kind of like the natural look of everything. With this is the 1080 and 1920 that we did at the beginning with the 30 frames. You can always bump that up.
Yep.
Background color. So if we wanted this color to be something different, this is something I don't utilize, but I probably should a little bit more. Title, of course. And audio volume will be useful once we start uploading clips. But other than that, we have at the bottom this layering area. Every time you upload a video, it's going to show up and with a timestamp right here. So let's start doing that. So I want you to choose a clip to play with today. Do you have anything downloaded? Even if it's not like one that you want to do, even if it's just an old, any clip will do.
Yeah, let me take a look.
All right. So once you find that, so I want you to get it into Vsdc by going to the play button and selecting it. And once it looks like this, let me know.
All right, I got one.
Okay. So this is what you would call a layer. So if I were to add music inside of my editor, I would go to here and it would for example, this is great for YouTube, not so much TikTok and Instagram. And we'll talk about why that is here in a little bit. Oh wait, video editing music. Lo-fi. This is always a good one. I always kind of go to lo-fi as just standard music selection. If I add music, it looks like this. I think this is like 8 hours long or something. So hold on. Just ignore all of this because it'll be confusing.
Oh, you're just trimming it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But assuming that, like, 'cause that was just unnaturally long. So now I have a second layer. This layer is music. So that's what it looks like. And if I add an image, one of the random pictures, sure, this guy. So now I have Shrek. And these are my layers now. So when I play, all of these play at the same time.
For it.
I know you can't hear it, but I have lo-fi, I have a Shrek face, and I have my image. Okay?
Yep.
So that's what layering means. So I'm going to get rid of music, and I'm going to get rid of this image for the sake of this tutorial. Okay, so now that we've kind of looked at the basics of Vsdc, and just really quick up here, all I use is this slider for image quality. This doesn't do anything to the video. This is just how you're perceiving it. If you're having CPU issues, you can always bring it down to 144p, and it'll look like shit, but at least it won't be skipping around and stuff, which it'll do sometimes. I usually keep mine at 720p, just because, I don't know. So for the sake of like this is the most popular style of TikTok, which I know everybody has seen, which is the clip is enlarged, you have a face up top, and there's some blurry shit in the background. It's used in the format of every one of my TikToks. And most of your gaming TikTokers do this style. And so that's the style that we're going to look at today and go over. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this layer selected. And by selecting it, it will have a green outline. Okay. So once it's selected, I want you to do Control-C to copy it. And then I want you to do Control-V and it'll duplicate it.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna have 3 duplicates. That's what we want, 3 duplicates.
And how come you want 3 duplicates?
We were about to find out.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I want you to ask questions, so that's perfect. Okay, so now that we have our 3 duplicates, we're going to start the process of crafting a TikTok-looking shaped video. So what we're gonna do is, to begin, we're going to do our crop tool. So I want you to right click the clip, and you can always double check what's being clicked by looking at the outline. You see the outline is green, so we know that this is selected, and because you want the top one selected. Now we're going to go to crop tools and then custom region. It's going to look like this.
Gotcha.
Okay, now we're going to drag that little slider from the top left, and we're going to do like this, and we're going to find your webcam, and we are going to take each of the 4 corners
and line it up with the webcam,
just like that. I played around with doing stuff like this and all of that. I found it looks the most natural to just snag the whole thing.
Gotcha.
Once you're done, you click OK.
And so that goes, you can layer that on top of it then?
That's what we will be doing. Once does it look like this for you?
Yep.
Okay. Now that we have that complete, click on the top left, and we're going to just drag her down.
Wow.
Okay. Now that to get any size, now there is no recommended size. Some people like to go smaller. Some people like to go bigger. I do a mixture of both. If I have gameplay on the screen, my go-to is to keep this corner at about half right there. Sometimes a little bit bigger. I'm going to go here. Now, placement is interesting, and I want to tell you why. Every TikTok I've done, I've kept it about right here. I don't know why. There's no specific placement. I just like, it's like right here. That'll be a little bit blurry, and I line up the blurry, which we're going to get to in a second. I've noticed when I post these to Instagram that the thumbnail is a bit off from when I post it as a reel. This may not make sense to you, but just more, I guess, just for the recording as well. If you want it to look good on an Instagram reel thumbnail, you want it to actually be a bit down here. Gotcha. So I'm probably going to be keeping my videos from here for this week's lineup to test it out. You guys can play around with this. You can go over here, you can go over here, you can go to the middle. You can even do this, which I do if I'm talking into the camera. I'll go like this. It just
so
depends.
You do like a full screen.
Well, yeah, even just like right there at the top, and then I'll do something down here. I just noticed that I have some of my webcam, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go into custom, and I'm going to drag this down because I have some of my webcam overlay. There we go. All right, so whatever position you want that in, you can play around with. There's no perfect science to this. Mess around with it and find what works best for you. All right, so layer 1 is done. Layer 2 is probably the trickiest one because of this style of video editor. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drag this motherfucker and we're gonna make it big. The size that I go for is pretty much the whole thing, except a little bit of the top and a little bit of the bottom. You'll notice pretty quick on Vsdc that it's not a perfect science when it comes to moving and dragging and stuff like that. It's not just affecting the top, it is shrinking and enlarging the bottom at an inconsistent rate.
Yeah, I see that.
That it's really weird. But for the sake of what we're doing, it's not as big. It's more of an issue for like long form YouTube videos. But for what we're doing, it's not that bad. You have these tools at the top. And I know I lied earlier. I said I didn't use it. This is the one thing I do. This is a vertical align center. And this is a horizontal line center. And what you can do is you can give that a click. You can give this a click. And it completely lines it up. I basically just do this until I get a little bit of the top, a little bit of the bottom. Again, not a perfect science. If you want to experiment with the size, no one will blame you. And it'll look good regardless of where it's at. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, are you good? You got this?
Yep, I got that.
All right. This is our last one. Our last one is going to be the blurry image. Pretty easy stuff. It doesn't even necessarily need to be the clip, but it looks better if it's the clip. So, and because you can just copy paste it, it just is the easiest. Select the third clip, and then you're gonna go to the right. And there's an option that says stretch video. I want you to click yes. Now, for some reason, of course, because I'm recording this, Vsdc has decided that my clip is not the proper dimensions for this screen. So how I'm gonna fix that is I'm gonna select it and we're gonna go down. Hold on. Like that. And you basically want it to cover top to bottom the entire black canvas. Is that good? That's good. Okay. Okay, so that's how it should be. I've never seen it do that. I don't know why. For whatever reason, Vsdc decided that my image should go up a little bit, but there you go. So that's what we got. Now we have this image that is just, if you remove the big layer, it just takes up the whole phone screen. Okay, let's go back. Let's align. And let's put this webcam back where we want it, which I think we said right there. And then the final thing we're going to do this is called Gaussian Blur. I don't know if I'm saying that right. How we're going to make this happen is we're going to click on the third layer, right click it, go into video effects.
Yep.
Filters. Gaussian Blur. Gaussian Blur. I don't know how to say it.
Oh, Gaussian.
Gaussian. There we go.
Yeah.
We're going to add that. Now, right away, you notice, wow, that didn't do much, right? Why isn't that all blurred and stuff? How we're going to do it is blur level 100 and apply.
That's what I'm forgetting to do.
There it is. Now to go back and forth between the layers, because once you add Gaussian Blur, it brings you to a new layer. This is an internal layer. It's a layer within a layer. This is a layer within our third item in our layer. So what we do is we just go back to scene 0. You can click on each individual layer and it will show you its existing items that are working inside of it, which none of them have any items except the one that's blurred. Now, again, you can use your imagination that you can add different items to different things, but again, overproduction is a thing. Now, there's one thing that we haven't done, which let me give one more disclaimer for the Gaussian Blur before. This isn't, normally you're gonna add like an intro or an outro, or you'll have multiple clips, and this is important for you to know. You have to have this slider at the very beginning of the video when you add that blur. Because if you have the slider here and you add the blur, it will blur all of this, but it will not blur everything before it. So it's important to note to have this slider at the beginning of the clip that you want blurred.
Okay.
Now that we have that, go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. I think I missed what you did after you set the blur level to 100.
Oh, that was it. Once you set the blur level to 100, your screen should look like this. You have the Gaussian Blur, and you click scene 0 to return back to your layers.
Okay, I got you now. I'm good then.
Yes. Okay. So this is this. It's really easy when it's just one thing. It becomes a bit more time consuming when you do multiple clips, like a quick sniping montage for TikTok, or something like that. You have to go and you have to do this individually for everything. Now with this specific clip, I'm gonna be chopping up some internal pieces of it. Like I'm probably gonna take this part out to this part out. But I would want to do it. I would want to make sure I add all of these effects prior to cutting it. Because imagine how much we would have to do if we cut this out, we cut this out, we cut this out. Now I have to go and I have to blow up and add the blur to every individual piece per layer. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, you're saving like 5 times the work then.
Yes, you want to do all of this beforehand. Now, this is something I can go over with you if you'd like. What I do is just for the sake of the tutorial, is I do OBS recordings for intros or outros, or some, like for this one, I probably won't do anything because I think it's good to mix it up when it comes to creating content. So let's say I wanted to do, and I do a lot of takes, as you can tell. If I wanted to do an intro, I select the intro video. I bring all of this stuff and I align it. I keep it usually just like this,
Sure.
which is really easy. If it's an OBS recording, it comes out 1920 by 1080. It comes out just like that, and I put it right at the top. I don't do nothing to it. What I do for this bottom piece, and again, if you're watching and this does not apply to you, imagine that in any game, say you're an Overwatch player, Valorant player, go to the starting screen of Overwatch or Valorant and just do a quick recording.
Oh, okay, so that's how you do it? Okay.
Yes. Just simply record yourself just standing there.
Now, was there a reason you brought that down to layer 4 instead of layer 8?
Well, it automatically populated it. I'm sure it has a way that it decides where it populates. But when I selected it inside of my computer, it automatically assigned it to somewhere. I don't know how it decides where it goes. Like say I add another layer. Like I have no idea why it showed up there. Honestly.
Okay.
So I just move it to where we need it to go, and I'm just gonna delete that.
Gotcha. I just was wondering if there's like a specific reason.
Nope. Well, not that I know of. I'm sure there is, but I'm not aware of what it is. So what I do, is I just go like this. I line it up. Basically for this, so like let's say it's Overwatch and you want your hero to be the screen. I just basically make it big enough to where Rose, which is the character that we're looking at, is big enough. And I use my arrows because she's not right in the middle of the screen. And I kind of I like to have my name, like my username Josh Barracks. I like to have that hidden. And that's it. What makes this specific part tough is because, and this goes back to how user-friendly it is not, that you cannot see the canvas behind me. And so with most editors, you will have a gray outline of where your canvas is. We don't have that in Vsdc. What you have to really rely on is your first image, the one before the background image. I know that this image is at the very top, and I know that this image is lined up, so I just have a mental right here. Like I know that my canvas is this big. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
This is this was a harder one. I didn't start implementing this for a while, but if you can do this one scene, you can do anything inside of Vsdc. Now that we have that done, I'm actually going to delete this because I'm not actually, well, let's just leave it in for the tutorial actually. Let's go back to our layers. Now each layer has the original audio. So what's going to happen is if you press play and you listen to this clip, it's just triple as loud for no reason. So what we do is we leave the audio on the first original clip, we go to the second clip, and we do this audio track right here that says track 1. We are going to not use our audio. Same thing for the third layer. We're going to go to audio track and we're going to go to don't use. I don't think there's audio on this one clip with Rose, but just in case there is, we're not going to use that audio. So now we have one linear audio happening across this whole thing. It's important to remember to do that because it is disorienting to say the least if you leave all of that audio in.
Can you show that one more time? Sorry.
Sure, absolutely. So in each individual layer, you can watch me select them. They all three have an audio track. What an audio track is the audio that's played in that one clip. When you make duplicates, each clip has the same audio track. So when they're layered together, it just sounds booming and loud. So to get rid of that audio track, you want to select the clips that aren't like, let's just for the sake of the thing, we're going to keep the audio track in this one, and we're going to remove the audio tracks in 2 and 3. So how we do that is we select 2, go to audio track, and it'll say track 1. We're going to go to don't use audio.
Gotcha. Okay.
So now that we have that, let's say that my excuse me, let's say that my clip is a little bit quiet. We are going to select the clip, and we are going to increase the audio volume by 3 for no other reason, and we're going to keep testing it, and we're going to find the audio levels that you want. I have mine pretty good in terms of like how loud I want it to be, but I have noticed that the TikToks have been a bit quiet, so I probably will just bump it up to 1 just to get to those levels. You can also adjust volume inside of most applications that you upload to, so it's not too bad. Okay, now that we have that, probably the trickiest one, and that's going to be cutting and splitting. This is obviously removing the aspects of the video that you don't want, creates a more cut, dynamic video. So I will go through this video to find the parts that I don't like in the future, but for now, since we are going over this live, we are just going to assume that we don't want this part. Like, let's say I drove around a little too long.
Game's over. Okay, I'm going for it.
And we don't want that. We're going to cut that part out. So what we do is we drag this slider to the part that we don't want, which we'll say right here. Let's say we don't need this part all the way to another part. Let's find the next part that we need. What's right here, because this is when I drive off to go get a kill. So we're going to find the part that we don't like in the video. We're going to select it by right-clicking it, cutting and splitting. And we're going to add a marker.
Add, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, without touching this little green slider, we're going to go to the next layer, cutting and splitting. Add a marker. And apply changes. Now the third layer, select, cutting and splitting, add a marker. Let me know when you have that done.
So it's all dependent upon where the slider position is?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right, that's all set.
All right. Play the video until you find the next area that you wanted to like start at. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this.
Game's over.
You don't
Okay,
have
I'm
to
going
play
for
it,
it.
but like, okay, right there, I go and I start my drive, and this is the next part of the video that I want shown after like the mark right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to select my first video, cutting and splitting, add a mark. We're going to do that process again through all 3 layers without touching our little slider. Let me know when you have that complete. All right. Let's click on anything on the screen that's not a button, and what that's going to do is now that it unselects the third layer. Now you have removable little puzzle pieces of your video. Now what we did is we added markers around the area that we want cut. So now that we have that done, I'm going to delete, and that is removed on an even scale, so to the millisecond. Has cut to cut 3 videos. Now, if you wanted to, and there's a little undo button here. It's a good one to know.
Okay.
If you wanted to, I could have added all of these markers and then had second thoughts, and then I can just export this with these markers and nothing is affected.
Okay, so you had to actually physically delete them for the markers.
Yes, you do. And you can just click on them. You'll notice that the border is cut between the markers. You can just cut it. Like just press your delete button on your keyboard, whatever. So that's how you add. That's how you evenly cut multiple layers, by adding markers and doing that. That's the easiest way to do it when you're working with multiple layers. When you're not working with multiple layers, the easiest way is to go inside of cutting and splitting, and you can click the cursor around and say, I'm like, okay, this area, and then you can actually click and drag it like this. The reason that does not work when you're working with multiple layers is that you're never going to be pinpoint accurate across the 3 layers. So this was the best method for singular cutting and editing, but adding markers is by far the best way. It's the only way to evenly cut. Now, granted, you could, excuse me, cut the original video and then copy paste it. That's true. I guess you could do that. I've always done it like this. I like to just start with the editing first and then cut it up. I've always been like that. However, if you wanted to go ahead and start your, and get your original video cut up and then duplicate it, you could do that. But sometimes you need it to look like this in order to have it visualized in the format that you're working with, to go, okay, I like it in this size. Or I don't like it in this size. Let's cut it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's everything that I do. I add 3 layers to every video. Now, of course, if I wanted this to be a driving montage, I could go find another clip, and essentially I would just do all of that again. This is not a driving clip, but you get the idea. I would select it, Control C, Control VV. It's going to do some funky layering shit. Just bring it all back up together.
And then you build off the same 3 layers. Okay.
Yep. Mute these 2 tracks down here. Right? And do all of it again. I would go in, I would crop it. I would do the exact same process that we just did for the last ones. Okay. And then I would go through it, find the parts that I want. I would add markers, do all of that again. But essentially, that's how you do it. Excuse me.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Pretty easy stuff. Finally, if you have the Pro version, you can do the Resize Mode a couple of different ways. I do mine as the Lynx Nose ones. It asks me that to have the Pro version. I just don't have it, but I just have it selected anyway, just because I feel like it. You could also do super sampling. Again, I don't think it works without the Pro, but all of my videos come out crystal clear, very, very good quality, and I've always kept it at Lax Nose or super sampling, and so I just do that and just make sure that they're all selected like that. So what I would do is I would select the original video before copying it. All of my videos automatically come out as super sampling because as I open the project. So like, this is what I do. Once I did my very first edit, I just go back into this, I guess. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull up an old clip, delete everything. And the reason I do that is now, I don't have to start a new project. I don't have to set these dimensions. I don't have to add the new super sampling. It's automatically in there because I just used it on this. And my export settings will all be from the same video. And there's another benefit to it too. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, the Gaussian Blur. If you keep using your old files, it'll keep it at 100. If you don't, it'll automatically set it to 4. So it's just less stuff that really adds up into the process over time, if that makes sense. It's less settings that you have to keep changing to the shit that you want, and you just don't have to worry about it. If you find yourself, just after you make the first video, select the one you want and just go off of that, and you're good to go. This one was easy. This was just the 300 sub thing. So that's everything. If you forget anything, you have it recorded. I have it recorded. Now that we have our video, let's talk about exporting. This is the most important part. If you do not get these settings down, you could do all of that work and your video is going to look like shit. So I'm just going to go over what I have. I don't have the answers as to why this is the best. I just know that it is. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Under export project, it's going to ask you, the first one is media device. We're going to select PC. Second is output video format. It's going to be MOV. Now we're going to go to edit profile. There's a lot of shit on here, and we don't need to do too much. The first is to double check. It needs to look just like this. It should really be a 1920 by 1080 canvas with a 1080 by 1920 video image.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I did 1920 by 1080, it would be like this. 1080 by 1920 is what we want.
Sure.
Okay, second bitrate is 6000. If it doesn't show bitrate, it's because your encoder mode is constant rate factor. We want this to be average bitrate. So go over, so it's here, go over to here, switch to average bitrate, select that to 6000. And this is where, when I told you in the post, I stream it to 30 frames. I set this to 60 frames.
Interesting.
Yeah, it comes out better quality. It comes out sharper than I actually stream, if you can believe it. Last, we're going to go to this configure button, and we are going to set this. I think naturally it's single pass. We're going to set this to 2 pass. What that means is that it is going to export your project twice, and it's going to go frame by frame and compare the frames. And whatever the best frame is, frame by frame, it is going to give that frame to the last version of the video. So it exports it twice. Let's say that frame 1 is 60 frames, frame 2 is 52 frames. It selects the 60 frames. Frame number 2 is 38 frames. The second version of it is 42 frames. It'll go with the 42. So it'll combine 2 videos to give you the best version of it.
Okay, for some reason I didn't get that when I hit. Oh, I hit the wrong configure. That's why. Okay. I got you now.
Other than that, I don't think I'd do anything. It should just look like this. Again, we have it recorded, so you can always just go right here. Biggest things: width, height, frame rate, bit rate. I'm weird because what I'll do is I'll make sure that my constant rate factor is also 100%. I don't think once we switch the average bit rate, I don't think that constant rate factor even matters. But if this doesn't show quality 100, I just feel weird. Okay, so like I know that's probably like if you're probably watching going, why would you do that? I don't know. I just do it. I'm weird. But yeah, average bit rate. We're gonna apply that to the profile. It should blink, indicating that it changed. Then we're going to change the name above edit profile, and you're going to find the path that you want it to save at. For me, I have a separate folder called video editing that I finish all my files. Once I'm done with the files, I drag them to video editing backup, and then my video editing music. So I just do everything under video editing.
Gotcha.
Right here. You do that, and before you export, do you remember, and I said I think we're going to circle back to this, what would I do? If you were me, what would you do before you exported?
Preview.
Not just the preview. We don't even have to preview it because what I do is I export it and then I double check the file because inside of my folders to make sure. But what would I do in my PC before I exported it?
I think I missed that.
I'm going to close OBS. I'm going to close Chrome. I'm going to close Spotify. I'm going to close Discord. I'm going to close everything on my task manager that is not Vsdc. Because the more resources that your computer has available, the better that the render is going to be.
Yep, I got you now. Okay, I remember that.
So I'm here. And what you can do if you're uncomfortable, especially the first couple of times, before you export it, go to Save Project As. This will save not the video, but this information, the layers and stuff. Save your project, and I do that under Video Editing Backup. That's what these white sheets are. I save it, then I export it. So you could save the project and then you could close everything out. For me, it's always OBS because I always use OBS to record stuff like for the intros and outros and stuff. And that's it's so it eats so much. That and of course Google Chrome is a resource monster too.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And once you do that, you export and it starts to do its thing. After it's exported, just double check it in here. You can always double check the quality, which this is actually.
I don't want to like toot my own horn.
This is the video
like
we
I'm
just
a very
made.
Positive person, okay?
I like to play with people who are positive. We don't have the car one because we didn't save it, but that's what it looks like. And obviously when you get it onto a phone, and this is perfect.
Look better.
Yep. And again, yeah, I can't accurately. If you want to see what that finished product is, you can go to my TikTok, tiktok.com/@JoshBarracks. And this is it. I added some text in the post that I would want to see, and obviously cut everything off around bad. And I think that there needs to be more. And that's it.
I actually saw that one today.
Yep. And that's gonna do it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful. If it was, hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment if there was more that I missed. Appreciate you.